So what we are talking about today, and welcome to this healing space. My name is Brittany Porter. I am an energy healer and a spiritual coach. So we are going to be talking about Akashic records, soul contracts, and vows. And so if anybody's watching this on YouTube later, I'm doing a TikTok live and I'm talking to people in the comments. So I will be answering questions as we go along here. I know some of these things are newer to people, and so we'll be doing like a brief overview of all of them. And if you're interested, since I have been doing this for a while, I have collected a big list of resources of how I got started and all of the things that I've done to help me progress in this area. So if you want a copy of the resources, I can email them to you. You can send me a DM on Instagram. There's a link in my bio, or email me and I'll send it over to you. And it's all the things that have helped me. Hey Ray, hey. This is my business partner and friend, Good Day with Ray, here in the comments. Everybody should follow her. She's a very magical being, healer, spiritual coach as well. And we have a Facebook community together. It's called Journey to Awakening with Brittany and Ray, and there's a link in my bio. We would love to have you in the community. It's super fun. Okay, so we put in resources like this. So first we'll start sending you love, your positive energy, flow tenfold, flow and freely through all connected. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. Okay, resources, just joined, caught the ending. This is going to be if you want resources on how to connect into your Akashic records, or look at your soul contracts, or figure out like what vows are, right, from past lives, or even vows now. I have a list of email resources I can send you. If you send me a DM on Instagram, I'll email them to you. It's like a family, the group on Facebook. Oh, yay! That's how we want y'all to feel. Like we're one big happy family, loving and supporting one another. So yes, please join our family. We would love to have you. Okay, so Akashic records. We'll start there because then that gives you a better scope of soul contracts. So the Akashic records are a vibrational record of all of your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and actions across all space, time, and dimensions. And so if you believe in reincarnation, what that looks like is you have a record of every single incarnation. Okay, that's your soul contract. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But you have a record of every single one. Okay, and it's housed within the Akashic records. It's a frequency that you tap into, that they're held within. So when people talk about the book of life, that's often what we symbolize it as, and this book is held in a library with everybody else's book. Book of life, right? So as a reader, what I do is I go into that frequency and then I pull your book out and then depending on whatever your questions are for your records, we sift through it, right? Like I fold back the pages and find the information. Okay, so people often ask like, what can the Akashic records help me with? So they can help you look at your life from a bird's eye view. This is you looking at everything as your higher self perspective. You as your higher self and your team of guides that are looking out over you, over this incarnation. Okay, before you came here, you all made a map of what you're going to experience. We're going to do this, we're going to meet this person, we're going to have growth in this area. Everything is mapped out. Okay, we'll get more into soul contracts in a minute. But it holds all of them. And so things that it can help with is karmic relationships, like figuring out why you have those. And karmic relationships look like if you keep pulling in the same type of person over and over again, like why is that? For me, that looked like me pulling in narcissists. One, because I'm an empath and a light worker, but I would like keep pulling in people like that. Or I made some videos the other day about pulling in people that would abandon me, right? And that's a karmic lesson that I had. And when I'm saying karmic, I don't mean karma, like you did something in the past and you have to make up for it, right? Pixie said Scorpios for me. Yeah. Sometimes it's the same person in different bodies, right? So I was told I'm an earth angel, however, not exactly what that entails. I can talk a little bit more about that if you remind me in a second. So karmic lessons or karmic people are not things that you did in the past that you need to make up for. It's, I'm pulling in these people to learn a lesson. Or I wanted to experience this so I can either like teach other people how to heal through it. Like for me, I had a lot of childhood trauma, right? Like some heavy abandonment issues and like a whole other slew of things, right? And for a long time, I was very just angry at the universe. And rightfully so. Like, okay, and not rightfully so. It's like all mapped out. But anyway, like I chose that. But I chose that to live and breathe that experience because now I help other people with it. Like that was my soul blueprint. Like I want to be a teacher. I want to be a guide. And I have to live and breathe those experiences in order to help other people. And not saying that's why certain things happen to you. Okay, everybody has a different life and different experiences, but that's an example of why I went through those things, right? So a karmic lesson might be a behavioral pattern that you're stuck in. Like, why do I keep doing this, right? Like maybe it's procrastination. Maybe it's like self-sabotage, right? There's so many different things, like addiction. There are things that you set up to grow through, and sometimes you have to look at it from a higher self perspective to understand why that keeps going, right? And it takes time. It takes time to peel back the layers of that. So I think sometimes when people want to get in their records, they're like, I want the answers like right now. But the way that life is set up is you get a little bit at a time, because we're not meant to rush things, right? And so with me, like in the records, let's take my, we're going to use an example. So I had a ton of self-limiting beliefs about money, like so many. So that started in childhood, and I had so many layers that I had to peel back to find out where that root was. And I had to keep going back and like do trauma healing and soul work and keep going in the records like over and over again and getting a little bit more and then doing integration and a little bit more and integration and then finally get to the root cause of it, right? And that's what I'm working on now, is the root cause. It can help you remember past lives, because it holds all of them. It holds a record of all of them. It can help you remember if you've incarnated with people before, like your soul tribe. Like I have people that are in my life right now that are part of my soul tribe. The relationship with them are vastly different than some of the other people that I've had in my life. Like I know for a fact that we have been together for a millennia. Okay, and then you find each other in incarnations. It can help you figure out, you know, your, like, why you incarnated here, right? Like, why did I choose to come to Earth? Or why did I choose to go to Lemuria? Or am I Atlantean? Like, it helps you figure out those things as well, okay? If you're a healer and you want to help people, it also helps you realize you are a very powerful, wise, divine being that have done this for a very long time. Like sometimes we come into this incarnation and like we forget, like this part of Earth School, the game, right? But if you get into your records and you see what you are actually capable of in the levels of your magic, and that you've done this over and over and over again, it instills this very deep core, I've got it. Okay, I understand. And not saying that you won't, you know, falter back sometimes and get self-doubt, because that happens with me too. Okay, I'll be doubting myself too. But it's different when you have anchor points in your consciousness to go back to and say, I remember I have done this before, and I've literally seen it in different incarnations going through the records. And so where can I find the records? So the records are within. Your records are within you, right? It's a certain frequency that you get into in order to access them. So I'm going to talk more about how I did this, okay? So I went to school for psychology, and because I was very interested in like figuring myself out, like on a mind level. And then I kind of went in a different direction and started doing energy healing, right? And doing like very deep soul work. So I had to do a lot of shadow work and a lot of healing in order to be able to access that frequency. That's me, personally. Not saying that's you. Okay, everybody's different. But I had so much heavy, dense trauma in my system that it was bogging me down, and I was not able to access that. Right? Like, it was just off. And it was through all of that healing that I was able to start. It even came into my peripheral. Like, I didn't know about all of that for like 27 years. And then all of a sudden the records just showed up one day. Like, my friend introduced them to me, and then something in my soul, like when I heard the Akashic records, like a key turned. And I was like, ooh, what is that? And then I started going down the rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, I've been doing this forever with people. Not even in past incarnations, but I've been tapping into people's Akashic records and into their subconscious my whole entire this incarnation life. Now, when I started doing it intentionally, it was vastly different, right? Like, way different experience. But the Akashic records will help you remember you have these soul gifts that you probably have been experiencing already, but you're too afraid to do it because self-doubt's getting in your way. Like, you said, how do I reconnect with the present moment? We can get into that too. So, like, now I connect in with different dimensions and frequencies, which you can too, like helping people. Like, I work with unicorns and angels and dragons and fairies. Getting into your Akashic records can help you see different dimensions and frequencies as well, because you're lifting your vibration and frequency so high that you can see into those different, like, parallel universes, right? You have so many gifts, Brittany. You deserve all the goodness of the universe. Oh, you're so sweet, Lori. Thank you. So we also have this thing called your highest self. This is something that I have been working with for a little while now. So we have each incarnation, right? And you have a higher self of each incarnation. Like, I have one right now, and you have one right now. Okay, so you tapping into your records can help you contact other higher selves from other incarnations to help you in this one. Okay, like, you can go in and say, this can be very practical. Okay, I know this is very woo esoteric right now, but let's say that you are trying to get a career as a real estate agent. Okay, you can go in your records and say, do I have any higher selves that were also in real estate in some other type of dimension? Maybe a co-currently one in the past, whatever, and ask for their wisdom and guidance. Or for anything, right? Like, how do I become a better parent? Go in your records and then ask if there's another past version of you or future version or concurrently running version can help you in this lifetime, right? It sounds amazing. I believe this. Yeah, this is something that you got to go with your intuition and how it makes you feel when you hear it. Like, it's going to resonate for some people and some people not, and that's okay. Not everybody's truth is your truth. Hey, I did that beautiful meditation that you did yesterday on YouTube. Opened me up and helped me out. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that helped. Yes. So your highest self is also on the same frequency as your Akashic records. So your highest self is your original incarnation. When you first came into being, like your source, now you're a being. Whether that's like human being or a starseed lineage, right? Or you know, whatever you came in as the very first time. Okay, that is your highest self, and your highest self looks out and guards and protects and speaks with all of the incarnation higher selves, right? And so getting into your records can help you access them as well. I recognize your soul. I'm totally a star seed. Yes, this is definitely, I think everybody is a star seed, to be honest with you. I think sometimes people don't think that if you are an earth being or you've only incarnated on earth, you're a star seed. But in my opinion, you are, because if you're from Lemuria, an earth being is a starseed to you. right? Like the earth beings are also star seeds. Like I've met some people that have only incarnated on earth, and like that's cool too, right? Because Mama Gaia has a beautiful planet to offer us. We are literally made of the same elements. Yeah, if you trace it all the way back, like we're all source. Like we're all star seeds from different places, different locations. So your soul contract is the record of everything. It's your plan for this one, for this incarnation, or any incarnation that you've had in the past or future or ever. And so when you look at your soul contract, right, I wasn't able to really look at my soul contract in depth until I started working in the records and got like a really good handle and grasp on what that was, and then could start editing my soul contracts and working with vows. Not saying this is how you have to do it. This is just how it has been very beneficial for me. So your soul contract, this is all the experiences you signed up for. This can be really positive things, or it can be quote unquote like negative things, right? Like I was in a very like abusive narcissistic relationship. Hey Shayna, right? And that caused me an immense amount of trauma and stress. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I see that that was a thing that empowered me to become who I am today. And there was a lot of other things that did it as well, but like that was a big one. I'm going to teach you how to hold boundaries and how to be a very powerful person that stands in their beliefs, values, and truths, right? And so where does deja vu come from? I get it all the time. Remind me when I get done, and I'll talk about deja vu. So you can look at your spiritual gifts or your psychic gifts. It'll show you, oh, these are what I'm capable of. This is what I came here to do. Why did I incarnate on earth, right? How do I stop being attracted to narcissists? I need to do another empath class is what I need to do for narcissists. But working in your Akashic records and your soul contract can help you, because that is a karmic lesson, is attracting narcissists. A lot of times empaths and light workers attract narcissists because we teach them unconditional love, and then they teach us how to hold boundaries and be strong and stand in our beliefs and values. So your soul contract, like I said, shows you like, why did my dog come into my life? Like my dog, Mr. Pugs, has been a guardian of my family, not just in this incarnation, but past incarnations. So like, why did that happen? Why do I live where I live? Like, why did I pick the home? Why did I, have my son? Like it gives you like, basically like, this is why you did all of these things. Your soul contract also, I know it's karmic for sure. I'm a teacher. Yeah, definitely, definitely karmic lesson. So it can show you your most optimal timeline is the most important thing to me. Is, we have every decision that we make causes all these different timelines to happen, right? And so that's concurrently running timelines. Like there's a version of me that decided not to come on this live today, and then she's out doing something else elsewhere, right? Or there's like fairy version of me that's living in her dimension right now, and like I'm in communication with her a lot of times. And then we're feedback looping each other information. But your most optimal timeline, it's like you have all these different options of where your life can go, and working in your soul contract, you can kind of perceive the timelines a little bit easier, and like where that will get you to, on your next steps. Like, okay, well now I have like 4 different options. Which one is going to get me towards fulfilling my soul contract the easiest, the fastest, right? It allows you to change out your perceptual lenses, more of your higher self. Like, oh, I can see a little bit further now, like not perceiving into the future necessarily, but picking better probabilities. Okay, so contracts and vows. So soul contracts and vows are agreements or very declarative statements that we have made either in this incarnation or past incarnations. And if we've made them in past incarnations, they can have rollover effects into these. And I'll give you an example. So because of my self-limiting beliefs and working in my records, right? Records allowed me to see where the root was. Working in my soul contract has helped me like disassemble that. And then working in soul contract vows, I went into a past life and found a version of me who parents were very rich. Like, ooh, hold on, our video here. That's a good cliffhanger. Hold on one moment and then we'll get back. Oh, I wonder why I cut off. Okay, let's take it on back here. Okay. Okay, so her parents were very rich and they were always trying to buy her love and never spent time with her. Like she felt very like pushed aside. And she had a vow that she said, I vow to never be overtaken by money. I want to take a vow of poverty, like monk status, like I don't want to have any of that in my life ever again. And the vow that she took affected every incarnation after that. And then I found her and I was like, we have to heal this because you have equated pain and trauma with money and like abandonment. That's not my life. My life is the more prosperous and abundant that I am in this one, I can help heal more people. I can reach more people. I can do bigger things. I can find more people to help and heal because that's what I'm passionate about and that's what I've made a commitment to do in this lifetime. But the vow that you took is causing me strife in this one. And I said, let me show you what I do in this one. And so I was able to help her release from that one. And it changed a lot of things in my life in this one. And she was so scared about her timeline collapsing if she let go of that. And I said, no, you can come live with me in my timeline. Like, come with me and experience this, like what financial abundance and prosperity and love can make you feel, right? And give you purpose. And let me show you what unconditional love feels like, right? And so those things can really affect us. Like, let's say that you experienced a lot of heartache from a relationship in a past life. You might have said, I never want to be in a relationship ever again. And so maybe that's why you have issues in this lifetime with all of the relationships that you're in, whether it's, family relationships, romantic relationships, like when you find a vow or a contract and you have done all the work, like you have done it all. Like with mine, with self-limiting beliefs with money, I had done as much as I could. I went to school for psychology. I have done thousands of hours of work on money mindset and affirmations and journaling and trauma work and finding the root of it, and it still wasn't enough. And I said, something has to give. What is going on here? And I found her. And I said, oh, okay. I see. I found other soul contracts and vows that are not just with money, but other things too. And it's like, I'm sorry that y'all experienced that, and I'm going to come back and help you heal now, but we got to let that go so I can move forward in this lifetime, right? Like I was thinking that on this contract. And yeah, you can make vows in this one too. If you say like, I never, like anything you say, I never want to blank. Those are very powerful statements. Like I heard one the other day when you're in a romantic relationship and you say, I'll never leave you. Like, let's say that you say that to somebody 20 years ago that you've been in a relationship for 20 years and you put your whole heart and soul into that affirmation and that statement. And then 20 years goes by and you really want to leave that person and you don't understand why you can't. It's because you put that vow in your soul contract that you're not going to leave that person. And so you really have to go in and like clear some of these things out and ask yourself, right? Like, what declarative statements have I made in my life? Like, it can be really simple things too, right? Like, I am never good enough. That's a contract you're making with yourself. And those contracts that we make skew our perception, because now we're wearing filter lenses of our perceptions of reality with that encodement of that vow or that contract that we're making, right? Or let's see, I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head, but that you got to be careful with your words, because, and I'm not saying to like overly analyze, because that's something my guides have like told me before, that sometimes I do that too much, but you got to be careful, because your words are literally energy that you're sending out into the universe and back into your subconscious and into your soul. So when we're saying things like, I can't, I never, I won't be able to, right? Like, those are coming into fruition. So something you can do to, you know, if you have things in your life that you are working through that are really giving you a lot of struggle, is to ask yourself, what contracts have I made with this? It doesn't even have to be past life. Like, that can come later, right? What contracts have I made? What vows have I said? What have I told people? Like, oh, I'm broke. Okay, that's a contract and that's a vow. And the longer that you keep saying that and keep affirming that, you're making the vow and the contract stronger. And this is not a judgment, because I have I have had many a contract and a vow. And that's before I even like knew what those were, right? That I was just making them. And even when I did know about them, like sometimes unconsciously I was still saying things that made them stronger, right? And so if you have issues in your life, not issues, but things that you're growing through, like relationship, finances, you know, whatever it is, ask yourself, what declarative statements have I been telling to myself? And then you can start getting into past life stuff, right? So working with your Akashic records and your soul contracts, and like intentionally trying to get into them, I'm going to talk about how to do that too, but going into them, basically when you get into those frequencies, here's you, and you're like so intermeshed into your life, like you literally can't see what's going on. You know, like when you have to call a friend and you're like, hey, can I talk to you about this? And then they give you an outside perspective and you're like, dang, I didn't even think about that. Or like, that's such good advice. Or like, wow, I didn't even see how those two things were correlated. That's what the Akashic records in your soul contract do. They lift you up here so you can look at your life, everything going on messy down here, whatever it is, and then you look down and you say, oh, right? And that is also how you can like contact your spirit guides a lot easier too, and your higher self. Not just like you embodying your higher self, but you can look at all that stuff with your guides and with your higher self, right? It just gives you an elevated perspective, right? Like envision that you're going up a mountain. Okay, you're so in the journey, in the trees and the creeks, that you can't see the top of the mountain, right? Getting into this type of frequency lifts you up so you can get on the mountain and you can see down and say like, oh, that behavior is keeping me in this cycle, or that person, that's a person that I keep bringing in. Or, oh, I keep affirming that statement, which is making this contract or this vow stronger, right? And I don't want to make it sound like it's all negative stuff that happens in the records and soul contracts. Like, even though the heavy stuff we're talking about is not negative, but like there's been a lot of like great things that I've experienced in the records too. Like finding out like my pug was a guardian of my family for a really long time, or, you know, that my son and I have, you know, incarnated a bunch of times together. It's helped me find my soul tribe. It's helped me, you know, become a happier, healthier person, because I'm not so intermeshed into like the 3D scape anymore. And I'm not saying to use it as escapism, because that's a slippery slope too. Like we can't always be up in like 5D and above. Like we're still, you know, human beings living and breathing this experience. But it has brought me an immense amount of peace and understanding. That's what they offer. Peace and understanding. And I have a lot of people say, well, I want to know all about my past lives. And that's great. Like I've learned a whole lot of stuff about my past lives. But the keepers of the records are called the Pinnacle, Pleiadian energy. Okay? your guides and your higher self and the pinnacle are going to show you what you need to see in order to move to the next steps of your life and to evolve into a new consciousness. So sometimes that's, oh, here's your starseed lineage and your gifts and your spiritual abilities. And sometimes it's, you keep doing the same behavior. Why do you think that keeps happening? Or you need to go clean your house or do your taxes. Like, I've been slammed down really hard when I go down or I go up in my records. Sometimes they're like, we're not showing you whatever, you need to go do A, B, C, and D, and E, right? Like, that happens sometimes, but it's for your greatest good that happens. Stop, not taxes. I literally have gone into my records to like do something esoteric, metaphysical, and they're like, you need to go clean your car. Okay, because it's causing you stress. It was causing me stress. Like, your home and your car are energetic, extensions of you. Messy house, messy car, messy mind causes stress. And they're like, none of that stuff matters, all that esoteric, metaphysical, like, it does, but like, if you're living a very stressed human experience, that stuff's more important. Like, yes, it's great to know all these things, but we're still living a human experience and we're not trying to bypass out of it, right? If that's your intention to try and bypass out, the records in my experience will not let you get into that esoteric information until you like fully immerse yourself in the human experience. And then we'll talk more about that too. So how I have found to help me, okay, with the records, this is my journey, how I got here. And if you want the resources, I will send them to you. Just DM me. So true. I'm stressed because my home is messy because I took a few me days. It's okay. Listen, we gotta give ourselves grace too. Like, there's a lot going on in the world right now. Now, if this is something that's like a continual behavior, that's different. Like, if it's been 5 years, right? But there's so much, hey Jenny, there's so much going on in the world right now. Stress is high. So sometimes like taking a me day instead of cleaning the house, maybe that's more beneficial for you. Like, we got to give ourselves some grace too. Like, we don't have to be productive 24/7. If it's 5 years, that's different though. Right? And so for me, what I did to get into my records was I found a book. It's called How to Read the Records by Linda Howe. It has an orange cover on it. Speaking of orange cover book. And you can go on my main page and I have a video and I talk about it and show everybody what it looks like, or like I said, DM me. But I read that and it was very activating. Like, as soon as I read the book and I was like, oh my God. Like, I wish I had known about this sooner, all in divine timing, right? But I was like, oh wow. So it started piquing my interest. I then took a course. You don't have to do that. That's just what I did, okay? So I took a course with somebody named Ashley Wood. She's a very famous Akashic record reader, and she like helped me get into that frequency, right? I also had my Akashic records read, which was very helpful because having mine read allowed me to feel what that feels like and to see what that is like, right? And so I started practicing on people. I did like 70 readings for free. Like, I spent a lot of time and energy because I wanted to make sure, because it was so new to me, like psychic and spiritual type of work, that, I had a good handle on it. And so I started reading for people and then offering my services. Then I started working with Reiki. Okay, some people do Reiki first and then start getting into the records, but for me to conceptualize, I need to do the records first. So guided meditations are great. So there's so many Akashic record reading guided meditations on YouTube. It doesn't really matter what the meditation is. It's more about the intention and feeling what the frequency is. When you first start doing it, I don't recommend asking questions. I recommend going in with a guided meditation and just feeling what it feels like. Getting used to that frequency shift over, right? It feels completely different when you're in the records and when you're just walking around your house. Getting used to that and then start asking questions. How, what, and why questions. Always like those type of questions. Yes and no don't usually work in there. because there's so many different options of how things could turn out or how things work. So what, how, who, those type of things, okay? So working in my chakras helped immensely. I can give you a little pro tip if you want to if you want to accelerate it a little bit too. How often should you do those meditations? I can't tell you how often because that's something that's very like personal. I was consuming a lot of content about the records. I was doing lots of meditations. I read the book. I did the course. I was listening to as much information as I could possibly get on YouTube, right? And I was watching things on Gaia.com. Highly recommend Gaia.com if you want a spiritual streaming service. Like, great. Tons of esoteric metaphysical information on there. So it's different for everybody's journey. It's also different, like how much trauma you've had or how much stuff that you're healing, right? Or when you're ready. Like you have to kind of like use your intuition to guide you there, right? And so I started working with chakras. If you want to look at your soul contract, excuse me, if you want to look at your soul contract in your Akashic records, I highly, highly recommend doing a lot of work in your root chakra, right? And then going to your Earth Star chakra. I know a lot of people say root, sacral, solar plexus, and like that's great. I'm not saying that you have to do them in a certain order, right? But your root chakra is like the most important one because it's the foundation. Your Earth Star chakra, if you're an empath, a light worker, or starseed, sometimes your root chakra is not enough for you to ground. It's just not, because you're not used to being in a human body. You're used to being like a free-form energy being for the most part. And so your Earth Star chakra, which is 12 inches below your feet, if you connect into your Earth Star chakra, it will ground all of your other chakras on a whole nother level. And then you can get into your Soul Star chakra. That is where your Akashic records are held, and your soul contracts and your spiritual gifts. All of that that we want to get in touch with, right? If you can ground and heal your root chakra and then go into your Earth Star chakra, it will help open that one up a lot quicker. Now you still need to work on your other ones, like your other chakras, right? Like all the other ones. But I always tell people, if you want to start doing this work, your Earth Star chakra will help you with all your chakras way quicker. And not that you need to do it in a fast manner, but it gives you that extra healing and groundedness, right, to start doing the other ones. And then when you start opening and balancing and harmonizing like all of your chakras, your Soul Star chakra is much, 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 much easier to access. Because you're raising your frequency and your vibration, right? So that you can even hold that type of frequency. Being in the record sometimes is intense. Like even for me, and I've been doing it for a long time, it's some very, very high frequency energy, and sometimes it's a lot for your body if you're not used to it. And I'll give you an example. So when I started, and I'll get to your question in 1 second. So when I started reading people's records, I did not have good boundaries. I did not have good clearing practices. I did not have good shielding. And I wish now, like if I could tell anybody, if you want to start doing this type of work, those are the 3 things that you really need to do, especially if you want to heal other people. Like I did so many readings, and because my practices weren't good, I got very physically sick and emotionally burnt out. And energetically burnt out because I was trying to hold a frequency that I wasn't ready to at a pace that I wasn't ready to. Right? I was like, but that's my personality. is I'm gonna do everything at 1,000%. I don't care what the consequences are. That's not as much me now, but in the past, right? And I learned my lesson. And so boundary shielding and clearing, if you want to help other people with this, like as a practice, a practitioner, so important. And working with your root chakra and your chakras and your Earth Star chakra, like vitally, vitally important so that doesn't happen to you. Okay? Like it took me a long time to recover from that. I stopped doing readings for a while because I couldn't. But that's because I was trying to do it too fast. Right. My crown is open, but I have a hard time staying grounded, and I'm an earth sign. That's why I'm saying that your earth star chakra, if this is something that you haven't been working with yet, like it can take your grounding to a whole nother level and allow you to hold more source energy and light in your body. Like, like sometimes those energies are making us vibrate too high and we can't handle it, and so it makes us like physically ill. And it's a process, it's a journey. You have to get used to them. Right? Like there's certain energies that I've worked with, like certain angels and their energy is too much. Or like I talked to it's about to get real metaphysical, but okay, so bear with me. So when I first was on my spiritual journey, I had a lot of like galactic alien-esque beings that were trying to talk to me, like constantly. I was a very open channel and I did not have good boundaries and shielding and clearing, right? And they were like constantly trying to talk to me, and their energy was way too much. Like way too much for me. Like I could not handle that. And there's been some angels that I hadn't been able to either, right? And I told them, like, I can't do that. Like, no, like y'all need to stop contacting me. I can't do that right now. Like I have to figure out how to manage my energy better first, right? This is when I first found out I was an empath and a light worker. And so a couple of weeks ago, like I heard them talking to me again, and I was like, oh my God, where have y'all been? I was like, I haven't heard from y'all in like forever. And they were like, you told us not to come and talk to you. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I was like, my bad. Oh, you can come back now. I said, we're good. It was just funny. And there's a comment back here I need to, but you gotta take your time with these things too. Like it can make you physically ill. Like, so boundary shielding and clearing, please do that. What does it mean if your left foot has been hurting? Does that affect your earth star chakra? So we have chakras in our feet. And so maybe you have some like stuck and stagnant energy in there. And so I would definitely do some like barefoot. Hey Lucy, hey. I would definitely do some earthing and grounding outside, and even like work with some tree spirits, like ask the trees to help release that out of your body. Or maybe like listen to some Reiki for your feet specifically, because you probably have some like stuck and stagnant like energy in there. I don't even think that it has to do with your feet. It's probably something connected to your root chakra, like some type of like trauma that's like made its way down trying to come out but it's not all the way out yet. If that makes sense. So any type of like bare feet, you can go outside or get some like earth star chakra crystals and maybe put them on your feet, right? Or work with the trees. They're great to help with that as well. And so let's see, where was I at? Okay, soul contracts. Oh, okay, so meditations, great. That book is great. Doing any type of research, just getting yourself like acclimated there, working with your earth star chakra and your soul star chakra. You don't necessarily have to like wait to start researching about your soul star chakra. Like I would just recommend doing it now. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to open up and expand immediately. Right? Like we got to ground all our other chakras first, but having that information in your mind, in your peripheral, will help. Right? So does anybody have any questions or anything? Let me know. Earth star chakra is brown or black, right? Yeah, brown or black or magenta, depending on like where you're resonating at with that frequency. But it can be magenta as well. There's also a lot of crystals that help with your earth star and your soul star chakra. What would be some earth star chakra crystals? There we go. Okay, so obsidian is great. Black tourmaline is great. My favorite is black kyanite, because black kyanite helps with your earth star and your soul star. So it helps with both of them. Amethyst is great. Any grounding and protecting stones are going to help. Or like green moss agate would be great as well. Like very like dragon's blood jasper, like jaspers are really good. Grounding protective crystals. Or earth spirit crystals. Okay, like green moss agate. Thank you for always sharing so much guidance and info. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Nicole. So Reiki helps you connect Reiki light language you can listen to help you, you know, get your energy and frequency like prepped to get into your records, your soul contracts. Watching information about vows, right? If you have an area of your life that you have been keeping on working at and you just can't seem to work through it, watch some videos about soul contracts and vows. I need to add those into the resources list as well. So if you want somebody to help you get into yours, because that's what I did when I first started, is I got somebody to read mine so I could see like what that is. It's very different from other energy readings. Very different. And not saying there is above one or the other. It's just different, right? So if you want to look at these things, either your soul contract or your Akashic records, or find out if you have any vows, or connect in with your past lives, future lives to see what's going on, or you have some behavioral patterns you're stuck in, or karmic relationships you seem to be, you know, having issues with, or you want some answers about fun things. It can be fun things too. Okay, like why do I like dolphins so much? I am offering sessions today. They're 20% off all of my healing sessions. So that's Akashic record readings, soul contract readings, and Reiki and light language sessions. There's a link in my bio, and you can use the promo code Harmony. I don't know why I said that like that. Harmony. But if you want to, you can sign up for one there. Nicole said, I got an Akashic record reading from Brittany and I highly recommend. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. That was so much fun. The record as well. We went in and found one of her, well, I don't want to give your information out, but, or speak about that, or in your behalf. So if you would like one, they're 20% off now. Definitely plan on doing this in the future. Yes, let me know. And if anybody wants the resource list, let me know too. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can send me an email and then I'll send them to you, because I want you to feel empowered as well. Like, these are things that you can do. Sometimes it's easier with a guide to like show you the first time or help you figure things out, but this is something that's accessible to everyone. Okay, and I had to do a lot of research. It took me a lot of time and energy of sifting through a lot of information to figure out, you know, what was reliable and, you know, resonated with my frequency. And so that's why I wanted to put the resource list for everyone together so you don't have to do all that. And that's not to say that my resources are going to be the right resources for you, if that makes sense. Like, there'll be things that resonate with you that aren't on there. So do your own research too. Okay. I'm definitely going to do this when I can. Thank you for all your info and time. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'll try. Been in a funk all week and can't pinpoint it. Yeah. Or if you want Reiki or light language, that's included as well. Well, it's not with the records, but it's a whole separate thing. I do open your records though for the Reiki and light language, because my intention is to heal past, present, and future. For like, we're sending Reiki and light language for you as a soul being, not just the person who's here. And sometimes I have past lives come up during that too. So, okay. Well, thank you everybody. What time is it? I am going to be back on at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to do a workshop about procrastination. So if everybody, if that's something that, okay, Sherry, yeah, let me DM me on Instagram or email me. If you DM me on Instagram, send me your email address, because it's a big old long list that I gotta send to you. So I'll be back on at 5. So if procrastination is something that is tripping you up, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, you feel like you just aren't making the movement forward in life that you want to, that's what the workshop's going to be about. So I will see some of you soon. Bye.